Tonight on True Believers, we read the best fan mail assembled in Avengers issue 7. And from that same ish, we learn that Rick Jones has a fetish for Captain America's dead friend's clothes. But first, religion and comics. Do superheroes believe in God? All this and more from the bullpen. Hey, hello, once again, this is True Believers, episode 4. I'm James Heyer.
And I'm Enrique. 4 episodes already.
I know. That's really something, Laughing Boy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I don't know how you came up with that. Probably because I laughed through the whole
You
thing.
did. Well, yeah, I'd call you Laughing Boy.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and talk. We do want to get to issue 7 and talk about Rick Jones. And more importantly, our main focus, I think, will be religion and comics today. But before we get started on that, this is quite special. We actually have a fan mail. A crazy fan mail. Our first crazy fan mail.
I welcome all fan mail, crazy or not.
Yes. And let's go ahead and read this. This is from Schaeffer Bonner. Dear True Believers Bullpen, I really like the last podcast. I listen every week, but last week's offering really blew my socks off. Jam and James Heyer shared some insightful thoughts about Peter Parker's appeal to teenagers as a soap opera. I attribute this to John Romita working for years as a soap opera artist before joining the Spider-Man team. In my book, Spider-Man has 3 fathers. Steve Ditko is responsible for Fantastic World Spidey lives in. I think he meant the Fantastic World. Including the character designs and some of his finest villains. John Romita gave the story roots, staying power, a soap opera slant, and some of the best covers of all time. And finally, Stan Lee lends the levity, life values, and is really the heart and soul behind the whole character. Meanwhile, Rakish
Rike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's giving you the ethnic.
That's what
spelling.
white people call me because they can't pronounce my name when they
He must
see it.
think that you're really from Mexico.
I am not.
Enrique Ramirez, according to how he wrote it, cracked me up every time he answered a letter. I laughed out loud repeatedly. My roommates probably think I'm crazy, not for laughing at the riotous ruckus written by your rogues gallery, but because I like to listen to True Believers naked. Maybe you could tell your fans what you guys are wearing when you record the next ish.
Wow.
Sincerely, Schaeffer Bonner. P.S. Do you know that the Thing is Jewish?
Oh, wow.
Wow, this guy is really crazy.
This is a gem.
This guy's really crazy.
I'm going to print this out and hang it up on a wall somewhere. Not my wall, just a wall somewhere.
Yeah. We do have a special guest tonight. This is actually pretty exciting.
I'm excited.
It's a special guest by phone, a good friend of ours, Schaeffer Bonner.
How you doing, Schaeffer?
Hey, everybody.
Schaeffer
Thanks
is...
for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we could tell by your letter.
We have one. We have one.
I listen to every episode.
Thank you.
Schaeffer's a friend of ours. He used to work, we all worked at the same place for a while.
Yeah.
And now he lives in Texas. Dork.
Texas. I do have one question, Schaeffer. Are you listening to us in the nude right now? I guess, are you talking to us in the nude right now?
I'm wearing a nice teddy. It's very comfortable. So not quite in the nude, but definitely on my way there. We'll just see how the podcast goes.
I'm just wearing a wife beater.
Now
and
you're
a
talking.
cock saw.
I'm just wearing socks.
You are. And the ones that go up to your knees.
Yes, knee socks.
What's the
I got
topic
done
of
playing
today's show,
soccer.
gentlemen?
You actually kind of brought it up in your letter. When you said when you end, did you know that the Thing is Jewish? At first I was like, whatever. And then I looked it up. Apparently he is Jewish, which I think is actually pretty interesting. You don't really, when you think about it, you don't really hear a lot about religion in comic books. Mm-mm. And I kind of did some research on it. Apparently, Jack Kirby, who his real name is Kurtzberg, to him, the Thing was kind of like his alter ego, I guess. Like he was in real life, he was a foul-mouthed, cigar-smoking tough guy. So in his mind, the Thing was Jewish from the get-go. And what's funny is when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's kind of this tough guy from Brooklyn, real, big character, very popular character. And I guess both he and Stan were agreed from the beginning that he was kind of a Jewish character. I mean, obviously they left it out because, religion wasn't really a popular topic in comic books. They want to make the characters, available to a wide audience as possible. But it's definitely part of the mythos, part of the, I think, character put into the comic.
I agree. I mean, it really kind of, the Thing is just such a well developed character, especially even compared to other Marvel characters. He's really a well developed one, and this just adds like another layer to it. I think of who he is, and it really just adds another dimension to him.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I think it was last week. Enrique was kind of surprised to hear, and I think a lot of people don't realize that the Fantastic Four were really the flagship of Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
You really wouldn't have the Marvel Age without without the Fantastic Four. They're actually the first project that Stan Lee undertook that he really felt authorship of. Like,
Yeah.
it was the first one. There's a good book you can buy out called Origins of Marvel Comics. I was actually lucky enough to get it when I was a kid. And in it, Stan Lee talks about creating all the different comics. And Fantastic Four was the first one that I think his wife encouraged him. Just like, 'cause he didn't like his job, being a copywriter was kind of like a grindhouse in comic books. And I think his wife encouraged him and said, why don't you do one your way? And that would turn later to the genesis of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and
So they were hugely successful, and then that gave them license to be more creative with the other titles.
That makes those movies just even more sadder then.
it does. What's the thing about the Fantastic Four? Another thing was, DC of course had the Justice League Society, and he wanted to do kind of a superhero team. But the thing is, DC characters back then, Batman, Superman, all those guys weren't quite as developed as they were now. Mm-hmm. They were kind of your typical square jaws, which is fine. But with Fantastic Four, these were not like good-looking, like awesome people. Like one of them was a freak show. They were always getting into fights. Like every issue you read of Fantastic Four, they're always arguing or splitting up or just they have, and then they come together to fight something. I don't know, but like I mean that's really like every issue, and like sometimes it gets pretty down and dirty. Like they really, the Thing really. Reed Richards has a lot of he has a lot of guilt about what happened. Like they all got cool powers except the Thing, who's just ugly. And I think the Thing does have he tries not to, but he does harbor some resentment towards the others because of that, and not in a bad way. Like he doesn't he recognizes that, but. I think it is there. I mean, when you read some of those comics.
Yeah, I think that's what set it apart was that these characters were actually flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these characters they were more like real people. They weren't. I think in the early Batman, I think the villains are definitely more character. It's almost like Hopalong Cassidy, where Hopalong Cassidy isn't really an interesting person. I mean, he shoots people, and at the end he would always win. But if you watch the old shows, I mean, it's like Batman 2. The villains would come and the villains would be interesting, and then there'd be kind of a story out there. But Fantastic Four, it's like these are some really interesting people, and they're conflicted, and obviously a lot of their adventures are pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least there is some substance. I think the thing is a really good example. At least there is some substance. There's some motivation, some confliction that you really didn't see, and obviously a lot of people identify with.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, also look into it like in their very first issue, you're seeing the Thing buy clothes. I mean he's trying to buy clothes to big trench coats and he can't find anything in his size. I mean, that's not a problem that Superman would have, you know. And then I think issue 3. I think we've talked about this before, but they get evicted from their apartment, and doesn't Namor evict them or something, or he ends up renting their apartment. I don't remember. It's really ridiculous that Namor the Submariner is like so evil. He evicts them.
The slumlord.
Yeah,
You think that happened to the writer in real life, though?
probably. Stanley was like, I gotta
Write what you know, kid.
Sexual tension between the Invisible Girl and Namor.
Oh yeah.
And evidently she has like an 8x10 that she keeps in her study. Looks at when Reed's not around. It's an issue. It's really strange. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can find
and
it.
Reed's like, "What is this picture?" And she says, "Hey, if I want a picture of Namor the Submariner laying around, I should be able to have it."
I wonder if it was autographed.
And it's like, you know, Namor just kidnapped you twice at this point. He's gonna do it again.
She's trying to kill you.
I mean, is this like, do you have Stockholm syndrome, or like, are you just attracted to him because he's ripped? Like, what's your deal?
He's
Like
a good
next
swimmer.
time, next time, just let him kidnap you.
You have to.
A couple.
Namor's a very attractive man.
Whoa! Cool it, Liberace.
He does have wings on his ankles, which doesn't make sense. I mean, what does that have to do with swimming? like,
I don't know. I'm not a swimmer.
I don't know.
Get Michael
That was,
Phelps on the phone.
At that point, that was like Bill Everett was like, "What does he need?" I know.
His feet are boring.
Wings on his feet.
Now, that sounds like more like some like management or something. This guy's boring. Do something with his feet.
All right, here's some wings. Can I have my $200 now?
They're probably like, Aquaman doesn't have these.
Did you ever read Speaking of Aquaman, did you ever read Aquaman in the 90s?
No.
No one did. I read a couple when I was a kid, just because I was.
Because it was
but,
Aquaman.
Well, I mean, it would come in like you could get them in packages, like what do you call them?
Reissues?
Reissues.
Yeah.
Or not reissues, back issues.
Back issues.
You could get a bunch in a package, so I'd get some Aquamans. Dude, I get, like, you always forget, in the 90s, his hand was eaten by piranhas, so he had a hook.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess the New 52, that's been erased, because I noticed Jeff Johns gave him both hands.
Yeah.
Unless he has the Luke Skywalker robot hand that looks just like his regular hand.
But inside, it's not like
very
electrical
convenient.
wiring. It's kelp.
Yeah.
Kelp and seaweed are inside there. He's kind of got a Bob Dole thing going on where it's just a fist.
Going back to Ben Grimm being Jewish, and really, you think about it, Benjamin Grimm, like that is a kind of a Jewish name.
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah, I could see that.
But going back to that, there's some other. In this article that I got, and this article was from Newsweek, and this is kind of the one that talked about Ben's religion, but it also mentions some others, which I think some of these are kind of weird. Superman Methodist. Actually, that right there, like I was about to say, that makes sense until you think about it. He shouldn't be a real believer or practicer because he's an alien.
And he's not from here.
Well, you'd think that he'd be like, well, this religion.
Well,
no,
you
I'm
gotta
an
think,
alien.
I mean-
it kind of excludes me.
Well, he was a kid when he got here. He was a baby when he got here. I bet, his parents raised him
He has
Methodist.
since gone to the Fortress of Solitude in Antarctica and talked to the weird hologram of Jor-El, his
But
real
before
father.
that.
Yeah, you think that
There's
would
a
be
few years he was probably hardcore Methodist.
Yeah, maybe when he was a kid, but you'd think that after he becomes Superman and finds out about Jor-El and Krypton, that that would be his turning point where he decides that would be where he gets an epiphany and realizes that, oh, maybe this isn't the religion for me.
Oh.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
I did read in this article, it does mention that Superman that in a Superboy, one of the rare moments where they mentioned religion back in the Silver Age, Superboy actually just said something about how I've memorized the entire Constitution, both testaments of the Bible, and the entire Smallville Yellow Pages. So, I mean, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily say he's religious. He just memorized the Bible.
It must be really boring where he lives in.
Well, he lives in Kansas. I think we know how boring that is.
If Superman's a Methodist, he really only goes to church once a year. It's not a big commitment to be a Methodist.
That's true.
They really only go to Christmas service.
Yeah, that's true. Like all they ask is.
If you're a committed Methodist, you go to Easter as well. But I think I can speak for most Kansas Methodists when you say you don't really go to church.
All right,
Good
all right,
point.
good point. Okay, so the Thing is Jewish, Superman is Methodist. It says here that Spider-Man is just Protestant.
Now, did that come up in your readings?
I've never seen that come up.
Really?
I get it. I mean,
Where are
well,
the issues where Spider-Man goes to church? Are those lost?
I don't know.
Are those not important? We see Spider-Man doing everything else. We see him going to school.
I don't know. What did you say? Did you say?
Where do we ever see Spider-Man going to church, though?
I don't remember seeing any of these
I've never
characters
seen
going to
them go
church.
Yeah, they.
Maybe fight in a church.
The only thing I've ever seen was on the first Sam Raimi movie when Aunt May is praying the Lord's Prayer, and then right in the middle of the Lord's Prayer the Green Goblin pumpkin bombs her house open and finish the prayer, bitch. That might be the best part. It says here that the Hulk grew up Catholic, but is now lapsed. He's renounced his religion. Obviously, I mean he's a gamma nuclear physicist. I think that he's probably an atheist or at worst agnostic. Of course, there again, I guess he sees weird stuff all the time, so maybe. Of course, he sees it as the Hulk.
He sees weird stuff all the time. He is weird stuff all the time.
Daredevil that says is Catholic. I think I knew that already, actually.
Well, and even in the movie, they talk about
right.
that.
And I think the Frank Miller stuff brought it up. Or I don't know if it did. I know I've seen it. Maybe it was in the movie.
Yeah.
Captain America, Protestant. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Is it the blonde hair?
I think it's just because he was alive in World War II, and what else would you're either going to be Protestant, Catholic, or Jewish, and
Catholic.
you got to pick one of them. But in this article, it also says that Captain America is a churchgoer, okay, and Spider-Man sometimes addresses God in spontaneous prayer. I've never seen that.
That could be
I'm
anything.
sorry, but unless he's like, oh, God damn it. But is that...
Is that considered a prayer where you're from?
I don't know about that. I do know that Spider-Man did make a deal with the devil at one point.
Oh, yes, Brand New Day. That should be an episode all on its own. He made a deal with Mephisto, Stan Lee's version of Satan. This was a Joe Quesada thing because they were like, how do we write ourselves out of this story? I know, he'll just make a deal with the devil and then we can do whatever we want. It's one of the worst instances of Deus Ex Machina in a medium known for Deus Ex Machina. I mean, it's pretty insulting. As bad as the Clone Saga was 10 years ago, and 15 years ago, as bad as everything Spider-Man, as bad as Spider-Man has been in the past 15 years, like, this is just worse. And it's just their way of, like, the fact that they can't deal with Mary Jane as a character. Like, they can't make her a good, strong female character. They don't know how to. So at first they tried to kill her off, and then people were like, how many girlfriends needs to die? So
8.
then instead they're like, well, we'll just make him deal with the devil so that Aunt May can't die, and then Mary Jane can be written out of the story. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm fucking sorry, but everyone's old aunt dies, okay? Spider-Man needs to fucking deal with it.
Thank you. Because Aunt May, what exciting issue is Aunt May in this week? I don't think that would sell comics as Aunt May. That's why I don't buy Spider-Man, sorry.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
wow.
Aunt May sells comics. What about? Oh, well, I don't want to go off into any tangents. But what else is on the list?
Oh, that's all it has. I think it's funny that it's all it has because I know Kitty Pryde is also Jewish. I don't know about any of the other X. Oh wait, Nightcrawler is Catholic.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, he's actually a character. I would say that where religion is really used well with the boss character.
Yeah.
That really leads into a lot of his choices and a lot of the way his character is formed.
Yeah, I agree. Religion is a major part of that character. Thor, it doesn't mention.
The character came really later in the 70s, where they were talking about more socio-political and religious. Chris Claremont was really more comfortable discussing those issues, whereas in the 60s, they were trying to keep it. That wasn't really a popular subject. They wasn't really comics weren't really used for reflection or commentary in that way.
Right. Also, it doesn't mention, but Thor, when he was young, was a devout follower of Odin in Norse religion, but has since become a member of the Latter-day Saints. So I'm I'm just kidding.
You're insane.
I'm just kidding.
Say that again.
Beg your pardon?
I said Thor is now a member of the Latter-day Saints. He's a Mormon.
Really?
No.
Maybe you should put some clothes on, Schaefer.
Go down the dictionary, guys.
Now you know how it feels to be put on the spot, huh? Now are you going to make fun of us again? Huh? Duh.
The spotlight truly is awful.
It is. I can't take the pressure of doing this.
I'm glad it's a podcast, so you can't see how red my face is. Laughing boy.
Okay, I'm going to give you a name. If Enrique's Laughing Boy, and if I'm Ever Lovin', then your Marvelite nickname is going to be Skinflint, like what Peter Parker calls J. Jonah Jameson. Hey, you old Skinflint.
What the hell does that mean?
Who the fuck knows?
What kind of 1940s slang is that?
I'll rock it until something better comes along, I guess.
Skinflint.
It's yours from here on out. Okay.
Oh, good.
Let's see. Is there anything else we want to bring up about the Thing being Jewish?
Well, I think nowadays religion is playing a bigger part in comics.
Is it
with
really?
Spawn, dealing
but-
just dealing with heaven and hell. Really,
Yeah, but that's not really religion, though. That's very vague.
vague. But I mean, it's still reading some of those. They do deal with And if you think about it, all comics are about religion. It's about the good versus evil.
Oh yeah, Superman is just a modern day tale of Moses.
Right. So,
But
are you trying to shock me with that?
no. See how smart I am?
But I think giving them like an actual religion to follow, I think, is a way to make them more personable with readers, and so they can identify with the characters more. It's about selling comics.
I like it if it's done correctly. With a character like the Thing, who is like, this really adds another dimension to him. Like, honestly, I don't care about what church Spider-Man goes to. Like,
Right.
I don't think that should ever be an important part of that character.
Unless the Green Goblin is attacking it, then we care.
Then I care.
But I agree with you. I don't think unless it has something to do with
Unless it benefits the character.
correct. I would agree with you on that. And But yeah, I think it's selling comic books. I don't think that's gonna get. I don't think most comic book readers care about that.
I wonder what religion Batman is. I bet he's a Presbyterian.
I was gonna say Scientologist because he's rich.
That could, yeah. Careful, do you want to get sued?
Oh crap!
The issue that we'll be reading the mail from today is one that Schaeffer picked. It's issue number 7 of the Avengers, entitled "Their Darkest Hour."
I wonder how many comic books now have that title.
Well, this one is truly their darkest hour, especially between Captain America and Rick Jones. Before we get into it, just to explain who Rick Jones is, he is the perpetual sidekick of Marvel. He starts off as the Hulk sidekick. He's like some little greaser punk driving down the desert, and he finds the Hulk and protects him.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, he's Shia LaBeouf of Marvel.
He actually causes the Hulk to become the Hulk.
Oh, he does. That's right. Okay.
And that's why he's no longer.
To become the Hulk.
That's right. What an asshole. All right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So
He's actually not a very good sidekick. He's just kind of there.
No, he's the worst. And then after that.
So strike one for him then.
Well, and then after that, so he's still the Hulk's sidekick, but then in the first Avengers, the first issue, Loki possesses the Hulk to become a circus clown or something. I don't know. It's pretty stupid. But Rick Jones and his Teen Brigade are the ones who don't they send like an SOS to like Iron Man or something for help? If I
Yeah, they
remember.
have like a ham radio society.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
without that, they wouldn't even have the Avengers.
Yeah, so
They pick it up.
so thank God for Rick Jones and his Teen Brigade and his ham radio. And then, but then after the Hulk,
Rick just kind of hangs out with Captain America.
yeah, because the Hulk leaves, so he becomes Captain America's sidekick now. Just to point out, in later on in the 70s, he becomes Captain Marvel's sidekick, where he and Captain Marvel, in sort of an homage to DC's Captain Marvel, now called Shazam, since Marvel now owns the rights to Captain Marvel. What a great homage, by the way, to now own the rights, so you can't name your character this anymore. But in an homage to that, Rick Jones and Captain Marvel are kind of one and the same in that they cannot exist in reality at the same time. Which means that if one of them is here, the other one is in the negative zone, which is the antimatter alternate universe. So, and actually, I think
That's
Rick
gotta
Jones
suck.
is the one who stops the Kree-Skrull War by tapping into the powers of summoning comic book characters. But let's not get into that because that doesn't make any sense.
I've gotten cross-eyed.
This is back in the innocent days of Rick Jones, where he doesn't really contribute anything.
Yeah. And so what we have right here is
Well, let me ask you a quick question. What is his power?
he doesn't have any powers. He's just he's part of the Teen Brigade.
He hangs out.
He combs his hair
Don't
and
really care about him or something, because all he does is hang out with superheroes.
yeah, he combs his hair and has a ham radio and hangs out with a bunch of kids named the Teen Brigade, and that's about it.
So I could do that.
Yeah, you could be our Rick Jones.
I'll be our Rick Jones then.
But in this issue, we have Captain America pining away, missing his good friend Bucky, who was killed in World War II. And keep in mind, he's a man out of time. I know. He's a man out of time who had been asleep for, at the time it was 20 years. Now in the movies, it's 70 years.
Bucky died. He was trying to fight Baron Zemo, but
Yes.
he wasn't lucky enough to fall into the Arctic Ocean and freeze. He just died.
Well,
Or at least that's what they think.
I'm thinking.
And let's not get in the weeds with what.
Yeah, we're not going to. I'm thinking. I'm thinking the reason.
He blew up.
I'm thinking the reason why Captain America was able to survive in the Arctic Circle, was able to slow his heart rate so down, is because of the serum. It never says that, but we can assume that. Anyway, Anyway, Captain America is pining away. You know, he's a man out of time. He doesn't fit in these strange times of the 1960s, and he's sitting there, and then all of a sudden, Rick Jones comes in wearing Bucky's superhero uniform and says, "Hey, Cap, look what I just found tucked away in one of the closets. Isn't this the outfit isn't this the outfit your ex-partner Bucky used to wear? Look how it fits me. Anyone would think I'm your partner." In the next panel,
What an ass.
in the next panel, Steve Rogers, Captain America, doesn't say a word. He has this dumbfounded look of shock, awe, and horror. He's pale as a ghost. And Rick is just like, "Cap, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" And finally, Captain America just snaps at him and says, "Take it off. I told you to never wear it." Which you pointed out. Doesn't that bring up another weird issue?
They talked about this before.
Yes.
They, at some point, Captain America was going through his best friend's clothes, doing, I don't know why he has it, but he's got it, and he showed it to Bucky and must say, "Don't ever wear this. Don't ever wear this, Rick. This is my best friend's clothes." And Rick evidently disobeys. He disobeys this imperative command by Captain America and wears Bucky's clothes.
Pure balls on Rick's part, man. That's pure balls. He's
Pretty ballsy.
He is ballsy because in the next panel he says, "Gosh, I didn't know you were gonna get angry. All I did was," and Cap interrupts him and says, "I said take it off." like he's flipping out at this point. And can you blame him? This is really weird behavior for this kid to be doing. You know, I mean,
This should have been the end of this character, because Captain should have went to, the group of other superheroes and was like, "You know what? Fuck this guy. Don't let him around anymore. He's a complete asshole.
feed him to the Hulk.
Can we lock him in the room with the Hulk?"
It's a pretty dark little passage, and it really stands out because the rest of Jack Kirby's Avengers, it's really just fighting, and there's not that much story to it. It's just kind of fun, and then out of nowhere you see this dark, strange panel that it's really difficult to explain.
It is weird.
This is this is actually, all in all, this is because the side story where in this panel has the Enchantress, who's pretty hot in her modern day clothing, by the way, but she somehow tricks Thor into thinking all his friends are monsters, and that's kind of weird.
Of course.
Thor's an
I heard
idiot.
this too. Iron Man instantly realizes that if Thor is blinded by the sun, then he will be cured.
Of course.
Put the sun in his eyes.
Of course I knew if I reflected the sun into his eyes, he'd be cured. That's my go-to cure for brainwashing.
Well, and that is pretty typical of these early Stanley, some of these, especially with Avengers, where they just pull some shit out of their ass and say, "Of course, how could I forget? If I shine some light in your eyes, you won't be possessed anymore."
Nice.
Of course. And I think that we definitely need to go this down the road. Back in these comics, usually their first idea always works, no matter how absurd or plain it is, it works.
Well, I think of Rick Jones. What a terrible character. I think let's go ahead. You wanted to read the first mail, did you not? From in the back.
One of the meat of this podcast. Thank you. I get to participate now. Well, let's go back to the Avengers. This is after kids get done reading about Bucky and Cap's pretty awkward scene. In the comic, they have their bullpen where they get their secret letters. Here's the first one. Dear Stan and Jack, this is a letter of indignant protest. The academic life can be intellectually tiring, so it's a great pleasure that at the announcement of one of the girls on the third floor of the dorm had a copy of your magazine. As a college-age kid, girl on your third floor, I left off solving differential equations and the inner product of spaces and hastened upstairs to have a look. invited him to her dorm to read comics, and he actually read the comics.
Get off me, I'm reading.
So you know,
Thanks for
you
letting me
read
read Avengers, man.
But moving on, he makes a good point. The Avengers take over. He read the title, The Avengers Take Over, and he really enjoyed it. I was glad when I discovered the scene of your tale was in New York City. I rejoiced in the notion of an epic battle on East 63rd Street. But sirs, in the future, when you have your villains stagger a block away and plunge into the river, please let it be the East River and not the Hudson. Your offices are on 60th Street, surely, unless as the French accept it's only a mailing address for the king of the Fiji Islands. You must be acquainted with the geography of Manhattan Island, so please avoid such atrocities in the future. Corey Seidman, Radcliffe College. So I see a geographical problem. The East River. The East River will be closer, and they were obviously off. Which is funny because they all lived in New York City. You'd think one of them would point it out, but I guess not.
They probably did. Go ahead.
You did. All right. Look, Corey, when our villains stagger, they take real big steps. You're right, though. It was just another of our never-ending series of epic bonehead mistakes of galactic proportions in regards to your dolls in a dorm. Obviously, Stan also thought it was funny, but...
I like the PG-rated responses he gives to them because you know when they read this, they're like, you know what, fuck you.
Well, wasn't that the point of making this take place? I mean, we've heard Stanley say it numerous times. The point of making this take place in New York instead of Metropolis is or some made-up city or some other city is that, oh, we know the locale. This is easy to draw. It's easy to write.
Right.
And they still fuck it up. But the best part of that letter, though, is the fact that guy is like, I'm going to read this at this girl's house. Thanks for letting me read your comic. The girl's like, all right, see you later, freak.
I imagine talking the next day, it's like, well, I had Corey over, and, the girlfriends were like, oh, really? Yeah, he just read comics.
I tricked him over with an Avengers comic, and he ended up reading that instead of playing with me.
We're in innocent time of 64 again.
Here's the next one. This is from Thomas Burrows from Madison, Wisconsin. Wisconsin. I would like to compliment you on bringing back Captain America. While I am not old enough to remember him in the 40s, I have now joined my father, an old fan, as a fan of his. I hope that you will soon give Captain America his own magazine. And Stan replies, give him one. Let him buy it like everyone else. That's pretty good.
Well, he goes on.
Oh, he does. Yeah, I'm sorry. Relax, Tommy. We know what you mean. And if you and all of our other fans will just be patient a while longer, ellipses. So I guess they will eventually make a Captain America solo magazine. When that will happen, I don't know.
Aren't there like 1,000 of them now?
Probably.
Yeah. They got one all right, so they couldn't get rid of it.
Now, I did pick up the newest. Marvel did what DC did recently, and they revamped. They're reissuing out all their other ones, and I did pick up.
They did that back in the 90s, too. And
Yeah.
whenever they do it, it's just bullshit. They did this with Spider-Man back in, 1999, and they were like, this is it. You've struggled through the fucking Clone Saga and the horrible storyline where Green Goblin comes back to life. Now this is the finale. So I bought it, thinking it really was going to be, and then they're like, psych, what we're doing is a soft reboot, which means we'll continue the story, but call it issue 1 next month.
Right.
You fucking idiot. But then, here's the best part. They did that for a year and realized that it wasn't helping their sales. So they're like, fuck it. And then just went back to the old numbering system. So all of a sudden, after like issue 12 or something, it's back to issue 430. So, so it's like...
can we do this? And they're like, nobody reads this anyway. Why not?
Our readers can't count.
And then they were like, "Can we hire J. Michael Straczynski to write? No one's reading this shit anyway. Might as well. Might as well let him butcher up this beloved comic book."
Oh.
J. Michael Straczynski is actually Spider-Man's greatest nemesis.
We just got word from our top Disney execs. They don't care.
It looks like the next one is from Bruce Bouchouasset from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's 23 years old.
Ooh.
Dear Stan and Jack. Oh. After reading Avengers number 51, I thought I would enlighten you with some of my comments about the Avengers in general and individually. Oh, God. Avengers number 3 and 4 were so good they even topped FF number 22 and 24 respectively. Unfortunately, number 5 couldn't top FF 26. No other comic in the world could have. But that was because the Avengers starred with FF against the Hulk. Thor is by far the best character in the Avengers, with Captain America next. And Giant Man, the Wasp, and Iron Man in that order.
That's a lie.
I don't consider...
At least the Wasp is at the end.
Yeah. I don't consider Rick Jones... Oh, look, he talks about Rick Jones, too. I don't consider Rick Jones a participating member since he has no superpowers. Why is he even in the damn comic? The Avengers are the only comic today capable of making the FF the world's second greatest comic magazine. Whoa. The response is, thanks, Bruce. The Avengers love ya. But what's that an angry grumbling we hear coming from the Baxter building? That's probably the thing taking a dump.
It's dumping time.
That,
Just be complaining about their landlord. More than Submariner.
no, have you guys are bigger comic book
They
geeks.
get rid of Rick Jones. I mean, he's in Marvel forever, but they kind of get rid of him as far as...
Please tell me he dies a
Avengers
horrible
very
death
soon.
at the hands of the
No,
Hulk.
I wish.
Ugh.
I wish somebody would just fucking rip his head out.
He's gone when Don Heck comes. They boot him by that time.
Oh, yeah.
And all the main characters come over. I can't remember what issue it's around.
16.
16.
16.
Issue, they kick out Rick Jones.
I think
Yeah, Rick Jones.
I think they should do it at gang style, where they either sexed him out or jumped him out. And if you're sexed out, you get the Hulk. If you're jumped out, you get the Thing.
Ooh.
Your choice.
All right, Schaefer, do you want to read another one?
You go ahead. I'm ready.
Oh, we got to do the podcast.
Dear Stan and Jack, I have just finished reading The Attack of the Lava People, and it was great. Captain America is great, and I hope he gets a series of his own. I like his style. I also want to complain.
This sounds like my boss. You're doing a good job, but...
I want to complain. The Hulk is being outclassed,
Oh, fuck this
hated,
guy.
and bullied in your magazine. I am an avid Hulk fan, and I think he should be a hero instead of a villain. Otherwise, your books are great. Please do me and a million other Hulk fans a favor. Make him a hero. And that's from David Stewart. He's from Mobile, Alabama. Stanley replies.
Don't tell us how to do our job.
Stanley replies, but Davy boy, all this time, what the fuck? Oh, sorry. All this time we thought he was a hero. Yeah. You know, the kid is obviously bitching, but he does kind of bring up a point. Like, okay, part of the purpose of a character like the Hulk is that he is always going to be hated. That's what we love as readers about him. So I think the kid's missing that point. But he does, in a way, bring up another point, which is they weren't doing a good job of writing Hulk stories because every Avengers issue is just like, oh, the Hulk's mad again. Let's beat the shit out of him.
And it's been like that for God knows how long.
It's still like that. It's
Yeah.
like, let's beat the shit out of the Hulk.
No,
I mean, fuck you guys.
yeah. Now recently I did pick up.
To a different planet.
I did like that one. I did like Planet Hulk and what was the one where he came back and
I
kicked
tried
everyone's
watching
ass?
that. I was really drunk, though.
That's how you should watch those movies.
So was the Hulk. I got him on the spaceship. Hulk.
What was the one? What was the series where he came back and kicked everyone's ass? Damn it!
Yeah.
It'll come back to me later. World War Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for the letter, guys.
All right,
Oh, you're going to...
it's all yours, tough guy.
Dear Stan and Jack, normally I do not write letters to anybody, but you're not anybody. Okay. I would like to give you a big hand for the great characters you have in the Marvel Comics group. They are just as you described them, mighty, fantastic, and super. All of your characters are the greatest. Okay. I especially enjoy the mighty and noble Thor. Oh, he's a Thor fan.
Yeah. Oh, like you.
I want to yell to the world how great he is. I don't think this is a real letter. As for Loki, let's put him in his place. Maybe a man-to-man duel between Loki and Thor. Thanks for your time and good luck. Sherwood Conant, Olympus Street, Honolulu.
Oh, he's from Hollywood.
The response. I'm not sure if this is a real letter. It kind of sounds like Stan Lee from start to finish.
That's how most...
Stan Lee's voice. Normally, I do not write letters to anybody, but you're not anybody.
Total Stanley.
Stanley and your fake letters. Well, here's the response. Our time is your time, Sherwood. No Goldilocks and Loki do have a bang-up fight, and Thor won away. Aloha. So really, this is not I suspect this about some of them, but like, this letter is just really a preview for Thor 108. Yeah, it makes you want to go read Thor 108, so I guess it works.
He's a salesman, I'm telling you. All these letters are sales pitches. And speaking of Thor, I have a quick story. I want to kind of take us off tangent here.
Oh, you have a Thor story?
I do have a Thor story.
Does it involve a friend?
It involves a friend who's on the phone right now.
Actually, yeah, I know this story.
It's probably the best story. We went to go see Thor in IMAX 3D, of course, when it came out.
It was four of us went. It was me, you, Schaeffer, and another guy. And there's this scene where I'm sure a lot of people remember it very well.
I remember.
And this scene was mostly, I think the scene was more for the ladies. I mean, why not? But it's a scene where the camera just ogles
Chris Hemsworth's
ass,
swollen body.
like just up and down. And Schaeffer,
It's a good 14-minute shot. Yeah, not 14-second shot.
Schaeffer
Anybody who does editing knows 14 seconds is a really long time for one shot to be on the screen.
well, whatever your excuse is, the fact is you yelled, Jesus! And then realized what you did and then started laughing uncontrollably, and you were sitting there like for like 10 minutes to the point where the rest of us stopped laughing and were like, dude, what the hell? And you were beet red, just laughing and almost to tears because you just kind of outed yourself in the theater.
The best part of that was it was completely quiet in the movie theater, so everyone heard him. And it was a midnight showing, so the theater was packed. So everyone knew that Schaeffer was really into that scene.
This
Your wife must be very proud, Schaeffer.
story is true. I did giggle quite a bit at the scene. But
You giggled like the Mikado,
the
man.
listeners, we do live in Wichita, and Wichita has the second largest in the world.
Let's not change the subject, sir.
Yeah.
There's one bigger in Russia, technically bigger in Russia. But if you can just imagine looking at Chris Hemsworth in IMAX 3D, larger than life, just his all in your
You know
own.
what? You know what though? The rest of the theater could keep it to themselves.
Also like to remind viewers that earlier we read a letter that Schaeffer listens to this podcast in the nude.
Yeah. So he's an exhibitionist apparently.
Oh. Good segment.
This is very.
Strikes again.
You want me to read this last one, or you got it, James?
Yeah, is that the last one? Let me see.
I
if
think
there's
that
any on
is.
the
There's a
other page.
special announcement and
Might be more
about
after
Giant
that.
Man.
Yeah,
and
that's the.
there's some.
I do want to read the special announcements.
Who's getting married?
Just a couple of them. All right. The last one is for you.
All right. It says, Dear Stan and Jack, in issue number 5 of the Avengers, someone asked in the letter page who would win in a fight, Thor or the Hulk? And he was,
Hulk.
and who is the stronger of the two?
The Hulk.
He thought the Hulk was. I say that Thor would win in the fight because he is as good, and the Hulk is what the.
He is a god.
He is a god, and the Hulk is not. I wish I could read. The mythological gods were always superior to mankind, and no human, no matter how powerful, could defeat a god. The Hulk, though powerful, is still immortal, while Thor is an immortal. Besides, Thor is faster than the Hulk, and if Thor hit the Hulk with his enchanted hammer, it's goodbye, Hulk. I'd like to see them fight it out. A few of my friends and I figured that if Thor and the Hulk fight and Thor wins, it will bring the Hulk back to his right mind and he'll become good. What do you say? I would like to congratulate you on all your magazines. They're tops with me. That's Robert Galvanine from Providence, Rhode Island.
You know, that's like hearing some drunk guy at a bar like, no, pirates will beat ninjas any day. Like, shut up.
Here's the response.
I think it's an interesting question, and luckily, around 6 years later, they're making a movie called Thor versus Hulk.
Oh, thank God. Straight to DVD.
Find out. I was drunk when I watched it, so I don't remember.
I was drunk too when I watched it.
I think you know who wins is the viewers. That's who wins.
Yeah, because you're drunk while you're
I think
watching
Hulk
it.
would win, but that's just my opinion.
I think Hulk could eat Thor. I mean,
Here's the-
I think he could rip him to shreds and eat him.
Here's the
But he
response.
couldn't pick up the hammer.
Couldn't pick up the. No one can pick up the hammer. Here's a response. Dear Robert, do you ever get tired of being stupid?
You dork.
Dear Robert, shut the front door.
Dear Robert, my big toe.
Here's what it really says. You know our mags, Bob. Sooner or later, everyone fights everybody.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact,
true.
if you wait long enough, you'll probably see Spidey, Aunt May tangle with Ben Grimm's Aunt Petunia. Wow, if that doesn't sell mags, I don't know what will.
One thing I forgot to bring up earlier when we were talking about Ben Grimm, even though we were focusing on his religion, I haven't brought this up yet, and I think this will be not next week's, but it will be a topic. There's this group of ruffians called the Yancey Street Gang.
Ruffians? What are you,
Yeah.
80?
No, they're like high school kids. But
No, are you 80? Using the word
Yes, I'm
ruffian.
80. But they hate the thing. And they're called the Yancey Street Gang, and they're always giving them shit. And they're really funny. We need to spend an entire episode talking about them.
The Yancey boys.
Yancey Street Gang. I have some friends. Whenever I go to their house, I call them the Yancey Street Gang. They don't live on Yancey Street though. Here's some special.
Good story,
announcements.
James.
That wasn't a story. It didn't go anywhere. I'm a fool. Here's some special announcements. Well, we tried, but we just couldn't squeeze the Hulk into this month's yarn. But oh yeah, that's true because this is either the first or second issue where the Hulk doesn't appear in the Avengers. But in our usual what?
He's a busy guy, that Hulk.
He is. He's always smashing
Smashing.
something. But in our usual bumbling fashion, we found another way to supply the growing demand for our jolly green giant, trademark. And so, starting with Ish 60, he'll be co-featured in Tales to Astonish, sharing the spotlight with Giant Man. In fact, you can get a sneak preview by
Giant Man every week.
In fact, you can get a sneak preview by grabbing number 59, which features a fast-moving tale starring both the Hulk and all High Pockets together. High Pockets is Giant Man's nickname when he's Giant Man and not Ant-Man.
Wow. What an awesome nickname.
That's actually interesting because the Hulk's magazine didn't last. It only lasted like 5 or 6 issues. And since he didn't last in Avengers, so then they put him in Tales to Astonish. So it was Giant Man and Hulk. What's interesting about that is Giant Man ended up being so unpopular that eventually it was Tales to Astonish, the Hulk, and Submariner. Imagine being replaced by Submariner. Like that's
gross.
Bad character.
I come for the Hulk, but I stay for the Giant Man.
It's also a bad team up because the Hulk can't swim.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, it's true.
He doesn't need to.
He's the Hulk. He can just blow the ocean away or
He just
whatever.
walks on the bottom of the ocean.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for today. But what we're going to do, thanks a lot, Schaeffer. Thanks for coming on the show. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you. I was glad to come on and share with your audience, and thank you for sharing my story of my attraction to Thor. I hope the audience liked that. I'm not sure if you can convey the humor of the situation. Considering it was just a humorous situation.
I'm still debating if you have a thing for Thor or Chris Hemsworth.
Well, tell you what,
We'll discuss that next time.
we will.
All right.
Well,
Next week. Thanks for letting me on the show.
no problem. We probably won't invite you again. No, I'm just kidding. I give you a hard time. We will invite you again sometime. But actually, we'll probably put you on next week. What do you say? We do another Spider-Man. Do you want to join in on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not sure. I tell you what, I can't think of the issue. I think it's like issue 28, the one where, if you want to, we can do the one where Peter graduates from high school.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Okay. I can't remember which issue that is offhand, but we'll do that one. All right, well, Schaeffer Bonner, thanks for being on. This is...
Thank you.
And this is James Heyer.
And Enrique Ramirez.
And we're true believers. Stay believing.